100 degrees, 105 degrees, 110. If you've been battling this brutal heat in the past week or so, like we have here in Southern California, you know it has been brutal on the garden. And we have a small window to help our vegetable garden recover, or we will lose more plants. Chances are you've already lost plants to the heat or damaged plants from the wind. In this video today, I'm going to show you how to give first aid to your plants, what to feed your plants after a heat wave, how to cut your losses, and the best way to replant after this crazy heat. Hi everyone, I'm CaliKim. If you're new to our channel, I've been gardening for over 30 years, written 3 gardening books. We've had our gardening channel on YouTube for over 12 years. Monterey Lawn and Garden and I are working together. Welcome to my garden. Let's jump in. In this kind of extreme heat, the garden is under intense stress. Now, what typically happens to plants when this kind of heat occurs is you see a lot of crispy and brown leaves. And what's happening here is that the plants are losing water faster than they can absorb them, leading to sunburned leaves, crispy edges, and a lot of really crunchy leaves. Here are some other impacts of the intense heat. The fruit will drop off, fruit will crack because it's actually boiling in the intense heat. Blossoms will dry up and drop off, leading to fewer fruit set and fewer harvests. Because your plants are under stress, they may struggle to produce chlorophyll, which will lead to pale or yellowing leaves. Stressed plants are also much more susceptible to pest and disease issues. We've got some bug eggs that were not here before the heat wave started, lots of aphids and powdery mildew. Now that you know what the signs of heat stress are, and if you're seeing these in your garden, you might be discouraged and tempted to give up. Don't give up yet. There are things that you must do to help your garden recover as soon as it's safe to get outside, but the sooner the better. Come on, I'll show you. Come on, Mac. So let's get in here and see what we can do to our plants. We're going to give them a little first aid today. You see these dry and crispy leaves here on Tiny Tim? We're going to take those off because those are taking energy from the plant, and we want the plant's energy to be directed towards producing new growth and new fruit. And when I'm pruning, what I'm doing is I'm taking off the entire crispy leaf or yellowing leaf. So I'm just cutting here at the base of it to make sure I get the entire thing off. Wow, this feels good. Into the trash bucket and off of the plant. It's helping my plant be a lot healthier and produce some more new growth. Oh my gosh, look at this cherry. Look at this huge caterpillar. Now I told you during heat, the plants are more susceptible to pests and diseases. And this little guy, big guy actually, has got to come off. Ooh, I'm going to have to use my hands to pick it off here. A sign of caterpillars is these big black droppings. And this guy is going to go into the green bin. I'm also going to take off any yellowing leaves, which creates more airflow and healthy plants. Look at all that I took off. These brown, crispy, yellowing, diseased leaves were robbing energy from my Tiny Tim tomato plants. Now there's a lot more airflow underneath, which means less disease. And now the plant's energy can be redirected into fresh new growth, producing new tomatoes for more harvests. Great job, everyone. Next, I'm going to feed my tomato plants to help them recover from the heat wave. They're exhausted. Their energy has been drained from the heat. They need some more food in order to keep producing. Think of it like when you're exhausted from the heat, you go inside, drink some electrolytes, you feel so much better and can keep on going throughout your day. I use Monterey Fish and Guano fertilizer all over my garden. What this does is it replenishes nutrients and promotes new growth. The fish and guano together make an incredible nutrient-packed combo. The fish fertilizer is rich in nitrogen, which is very important for new green leafy growth on my tomato plants. After a heat wave, the plants need this extra boost to kickstart new leaf production and strengthen stems. Now, the guano is seabird excrement, and it brings a different but equally important set of nutrients. It's high in phosphorus and potassium, which is key for root development and fruit production. Next, look for dead plants in your garden and cut your losses. My scarlet runner beans here are one of those. They have mostly dry, brittle stems, lots and lots of crispy leaves, a lot of spider mites and damage on here. So what I'm going to do is pull these out, free up the space for new plants. And I know it's really hard to pull out dead plants. I get it, but it's part of the cycle of gardening. It is necessary to move on and clear up space for new plants. I cleared out all the dead scarlet runner beans, which freed up a ton of new space underneath here for some new plants. Now it's time to replant to help us recover after the heat wave. It helps us feel a lot better to get some new plants in too. So I'm going to add some compost to the soil here in my empty spots. And if you live in a southern climate, you don't have any frost in the wintertime, now is a great time to get some quick growing crops planted like squash or cucumbers that you can still get a harvest out of before the weather gets cold. So just going to mix the compost into the soil. I'm going to plant some scallop blend squash seeds from my squash seed collection here in this tomato cage. They can grow vertically and save space, and the weather is still warm, the soil temperature is warm, so these seeds are going to pop up very, very quickly. And I'll probably be able to harvest some in about 6 to 8 weeks. And along the back there, where I had my scarlet runner beans, we're going to put in some diva cucumbers. They're fast-growing, extremely productive cucumbers from my late summer garden seed collection. And these will be ready to harvest in about 8 weeks. They're nice, thin-skinned cucumbers, super delicious, and they can grow here along this back trellis in place of the scarlet runner beans. And we're done. If it's not warm enough where you live to plant these warm weather vegetables, get your fall garden planted. If it's 75 degrees or under, you can plant things like lettuces, greens, cold weather herbs like chives, dill, parsley, and cilantro. And check out our August and September must plant videos for all the details on that. And grab my fall garden seed collection if you need seeds. Did this video help you? If so, click the like button and subscribe, as these two things really help our channel. Thanks for watching. See you next time in the garden.